What is going on, everybody? So I am back with another video talking about the Philadelphia 76ers. First talk video of the offseason. We're about to get into it. Before we do, please hit that subscribe button. At the time of this video, I am at 990 subscribers, 10 away from reaching 1,000, so I greatly appreciate it. And hit the like button. It is a great tool to help us YouTubers grow and get our videos out there for other people to see, so that would be greatly appreciated as well. But I'm here today, minutes after getting a report that the Sixers are shopping Ben Simmons. And that's what every Sixers fan wants right now. If you watch the postseason, you know what happened. Everyone's on Ben Simmons right now for good reason, and Ben Simmons hasn't improved his game in 5 years of being a Sixer, at least not in the way that we wanted him to. And this season was just the worst of his entire career, in my opinion, so excluding the defense. But talking about Ben Simmons, the report said that the Sixers are shopping Ben Simmons and are seeking an all-star caliber player in return. That is exactly what we want to hear, because here's the thing about Ben Simmons is, as much as we hate him right now, and as bad as he performed in the playoffs, he still has value as a player, whether we think that or not, or whether we see that or not. He's been an all-star multiple times. He's made an all-NBA team and multiple all-defensive teams and was second defensive player of the year voting. So that's some value for a player. That's a decent value for a player, and you don't want to just give him up for nothing. So that report we saw probably a few weeks ago with Malcolm Brogdon and I think it was a first-round pick. That's not the type of offer you're going to see Daryl Morey accept. Maybe you negotiate a little bit on that, but I don't think that you want to do that, because Malcolm Brogdon is not an equal value for Ben Simmons, and I don't really care about first-round picks this one because we're trying to win right now. So that's not really where my head is at when it comes to, or Daryl Morey's head should be at when it comes to making trades. The picks should not be as big of a thing and have a lot of value in his eyes, as we're trying to win now, we're not rebuilding. So when you talk about getting an all-star caliber player, there's a lot of players that you could think of. The first one that comes to my mind is Damian Lillard, another one Bradley Beal, Zach Lavine's another one. The Warriors have apparently looked at trying to trade for Ben Simmons also. I think there was a report for that. And then I guess Klay Thompson could be a potential player that you think about. The thing about Klay Thompson, in my opinion, is that he's been hurt the last 2 seasons. I think he's older than 30, so he's on the plus side at 30, so he's nearing the back end of his career. So that's one that you would think about. He's definitely a much better fit than Ben Simmons is for this team. He's one of the greatest three-point shooters of all time. He's a great defender. But again, we don't know his health situation completely. And that's the one thing that holds me back from being like, oh yeah, I would love to get Klay Thompson for Ben Simmons. But the other 3 guys I would definitely like. The Bulls, I don't know what they would want to be doing, because they just traded for Nikola Vucevic last year, which showed, I think, Bulls fans and everyone that they were trying to make the playoffs and make a push for the spot, and they clearly didn't do that. Even with 2 all-star caliber players and Lavine and Vucevic. So if they were to look in another direction and just try to rebuild, then maybe Zach Lavine would become an option, but I think that's more unrealistic right now. Bradley Beal, he's in an interesting situation in Washington where they're not really a contender, but they are a playoff team. We clearly, in this postseason, we beat them in 5 games. Bradley Beal is one of the best scorers in the NBA, but he's in a weird situation where he's wanting to remain loyal, and he's been saying that, but he's in a situation where the Wizards might look to try to rebuild, and if they do try to rebuild, then he could become an option, but I still see that as more of an unrealistic option, because it seems to me like the Wizards are trying to stay in their middle of the pack fringe playoff area, which I don't understand why, or maybe they're trying to build a team around Bradley Beal, but we don't really know that yet either. Number 1 player on my list, Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard has been my favorite player not on the Sixers for a while now. He's been my favorite player that's not on the Sixers. So I would love that trade. Bring him to pair up with Joel Embiid would be amazing. That would be an unstoppable duo. That'd be probably, in my opinion, that might be the best duo in the NBA, because Damian Lillard can rain threes, drop 50 on you from the 3-point line. He's probably the most clutch player in the NBA, and teams have to double him to try to stop him. When they do that, you also have to stop Embiid, right? You have to double Embiid to try to stop him. So what are you going to do on defense against the team that has Damian Lillard, Joel Embiid, and then potentially Tobias Harris if you end up making that Simmons for Damian Lillard swap? I think that if he wants out or the Blazers decide that it's time to trade him, the Sixers have the best possible package, because I saw that the Warriors were discussing internally that they maybe could trade for Damian Lillard, but they would then have to give up probably Klay Thompson and a lot of other assets as well. And I don't know if a team rebuilding would want at this point, we can maybe label Klay Thompson as potentially injury prone or just not a guarantee to be on the court. And then potential picks and things that they will have a good team. And probably like a player like James Wiseman or younger players like that would have to be in the deal as well. Would they want that, or would they want a 24-year-old who's struggled in the postseason but has so much room to grow? He's got 3 all-star appearances under his belt. He's got 2 all-defensive first teams. He's got 1 third-team All-NBA. He's done things before. He's accomplished things. And I think it's all in his head right now with Ben Simmons. So would you want to go and make that Klay Thompson deal or make that Ben Simmons deal if you're the Portland Trail Blazers and all the other teams I've seen, like the Knicks, potentially the Lakers? That's not going to happen, by the way. They just want to do that because the media loves the Lakers and they just want to talk about that, but that's not going to happen. Teams like the Celtics, I've heard, I don't see how, unless they were going to offer Jaylen Brown in that deal, I don't see the Knicks having a better deal than the Sixers. I think the Sixers would have the best possible deal for the Blazers in a potential Damian Lillard trade, and that would make us clearly, if we were not already, championship contenders, one of the best teams in the entire NBA. Damian Lillard and Joel Embiid would be lethal. You couldn't stop that. There's no possible way you could stop that. Pick and rolls with Damian Lillard and Joel Embiid would be ridiculous. That would be one of the most incredible. That would be the best Sixers duo since like Irving and Moses Malone, which I was not around for. So you got to think about it that way. Like, he could really come in here and make us. Think about. Embiid clearly wants it. He wants to win so bad. Damian Lillard has that. He has it inside him. He has the clutch factor. That's why he comes up big in so many scenarios. At the end of games, you saw this year, he dropped like 55. They still lost that game because his teammates didn't give him any help, but he just made clutch 3 after clutch 3 after clutch 3. He wants it. He's got that mentality, and I think Joel Embiid does too. And that would be one of the best teams, probably the best team I've ever seen for the Sixers, if Damian Lillard, Embiid, Tobias Harris, whatever the team looks like around those two. But that duo, that would be the best team the Sixers have ever had since I've been watching. And another thing that I would like to talk about is that in a potential Damian Lillard deal, you can't just give up Ben Simmons. There'd have to be multiple picks, which I'm good with because, again, I don't really care about the picks because we're trying to win a championship. And then probably a young player or 2. And that's where it really would be a challenge for me, because Matisse, Thybulle, and Tyrese Maxey are like 2 of my favorite players in the entire league. And I feel like you potentially have to give up one of them. Maybe if you're the Portland Trail Blazers and if you're Daryl Morey, you can find your way to get out of there without giving up either one of those 2, and maybe you throw in like a Shake Milton, because let's not be completely oblivious to the fact that Shake Milton was our leading scorer off the bench this season, and he has a really good contract. He's not being paid anything, basically, and he puts up production, and he's one of those players that I think has potential to be a good player in this league. We were considering him as a potential 6th Man of the Year candidate before the season. That didn't pan out, but he's still a good player. So and he's young, so if you could get him, give him up with Ben Simmons and picks in a potential Damian Lillard deal, that would be ideal, but you might have to give up one of the 2, Tyrese Maxey or Matisse Thybulle. I would not want to do that, but if you have to get it done, you have to get it done because it's Damian Lillard. You just got to think about it that way. As much as I would not like to see either one of those players go, you would have to do it because it's Damian Lillard. He's one of the best point guards to ever play in the NBA. And you're talking about the potential of him teaming up with Joel Embiid, who I think at the end of his career will be one of the best centers to have ever played in the NBA. He might already be that. So that is just my thoughts regarding a possible Simmons for Damian Lillard deal. my final thoughts would be, if you can't get an all-star caliber player like you're trying to, I don't make a deal for Simmons, because I don't think that makes you better. Like the Malcolm Brogdon deal, if you were to get Malcolm Brogdon and the first round pick, just say you accepted that deal, I don't think that makes you much better. It's probably a better fit because Malcolm Brogdon can score, but you lose defense, you lose passing, and I just think that doesn't really make you a much better team, and I don't know how that would work out in the long term. That's pretty much all I got for this video, guys. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you would think about a potential Ben Simmons trade, who you would want in that trade, and what you think is a realistic possibility. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. I'm so close to 1,000. Would greatly appreciate it. Like the video, comment, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.